Hello. Hello.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace, man. It's all about peace. What's up, bro?
Aloha, no, brother. How are you?
Bro, what a good day. What a good day.
Well,
It was
today
a
is
weird
it's
day.
Saturday.
Weather-wise, it was a weird day. But aside from that, um, it was a fattening day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fattening day.
Well,
Um,
I saw that. But first of all, before we do anything, welcome. Aloha, everybody. Welcome to Facebook Live on this Saturday, the 20th of February 2021. Wow, it's flying by fast. And let's share, everybody. If you got your little homemade template there, share. It's so easy. If you go to the your screen and you hit the share button, it's going to ask you if you want to do a post or share. You just do it immediately. Just do it immediately. Then you don't have to worry. So we like to say aloha to you all. And I
where's
got
my
you up
shirt,
here.
man? Where's my shirt, Charles?
Yeah, you're doing good. Passion Bakery. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. Aloha, everybody. Man, I really wanted to acknowledge everybody as they come on, but I know I'm gonna miss people, so no get offended if we don't mention you because this thing scrolls really quickly. So we apologize if we how was the au jus at Passion Bakery? It was au jus. It was good. It was everything was good. Patsy had the loco moco.
Yep.
Patsy had the loco moco. I had the Portuguese Philadelphia
Cheesesteak.
cheesesteak.
Whew.
Hey,
Man,
come with Mac salad, bro. Come with Mac
that
salad.
bread, that
Huh?
bread looks, the breads. Oh, the thing was, oh no.
Oh, they make their own. They make their
Oh
own.
goodness, my goodness.
They make their own, and I tell you, it was good. It was awesome, and thanks to a couple of you. I'm not gonna mention names, but a couple of you walked in there while Patsy and I was there, and came in off of the show, off of the live. So thank you guys. Yeah, it looked good, Jacqueline. It was delicious, man. The au jus was, but I dipped the au jus the first couple of times, and after that, the thing had so much taste. It was just, and it comes with mac salad that tasted like my grandma's mac salad. I never seen anybody else make them like that, except my grandma. So it was awesome.
Well,
Was
today I was faced with a surprise, and I would like to send a big mahalo and aloha again to all of you that stopped by. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I must be, uh, I had a bad accident or whatever, but it's just a love and aloha. I was in the back bedroom doing some work, and I heard the neighbor's dog barking, not knowing that was Eugene Fernandez, one of our viewers. He went to Kapaa and he picked up some poi out there, fresh made, not knowing that my wife over at Obsessions tonight until 8 o'clock, big, bugger look like on 16-ounce prime rib, about inch thick. Oh my goodness, with two scoop rice and but I had the prime rib, medium rare, and I made I was blessed with some opelo. Somebody will go hook, so I'm gonna make a crack seed with that. And I had hanale poi and some salad, and I had all of that. So man, oh man, brother, right now I'm talking to you on remote control because I'm like, who at any time right now I can pass out because man, I'm feeling good.
I know the feeling, man. That's why I say today was a fattening day because we started off. We didn't eat breakfast. We didn't eat our normal breakfast that Patsy cooks every morning. We never eat because we wanted to save our appetite for um, for Passion Bakery. So while we're waiting, Patsy bought some lao lao from her friend on a fundraiser. So we didn't eat the lao lao because we were saving our appetite.
Wow.
But then Patsy decided today that she was going to attempt to make manapua. And she made manapua. She made her own dough and or bao, and then she stuffed it with char siu, but she didn't use pork. She used turkey. So you would think that was horrible, right? Turkey. No, turkey no more enough fat because it's lean, but winner, chicken dinner. And then our other friend from down the road called her up or messaged her or whatever and said, hey, we just think original Portuguese recipe of malasadas. And so Patsy just went down, go pick up a bunch. And I just like you, Charlie. You know what would be weird if you and I fall asleep at the same time? But it's going to be
Brother,
a challenge. It's going to be a challenge to go through an hour.
you know what I want to do is I would love for Patsy to make me some. I want to freeze it. You know the bao,
Hmm.
because then I'll go over meet our friends over at Wong's, or I just go buy me some pork belly and I go braise some pork belly, right? Put that with a little bit of green onions and maybe a little bit of daikon radish inside. And I layer that thing with some hoisin and use her bowl and let that grease drizzle on the side until you get pimples on the side of your lips, brother. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, she most places will steam the manapua. She baked hers. She
Oh,
baked it. I tell you,
like
man.
Royal Kitchen. Royal
Yes,
Kitchen, they bake this.
yes, yes. Baked manapua. I don't remember baked manapua when I was growing up, but now you can find them pretty much. Not on Kauai, but you can find them
You get three
everywhere.
different type of manapuna. They have baked, they have steam, and then they have microwave.
It was delicious. I gotta tell you. She put water chestnut inside. In
Oh,
her mixture, to get
that
that crunch. Oh my God, she's amazing, man. I don't. She just does
she's
it.
a keeper, brother. She's a keeper.
Oh
Tell
yeah.
your wife is a keeper, definite keeper.
Make sure when you talk to her, you tell her I'm a keeper too. No.
Oh yeah. No, but I did see you on the side of the rubbish can a couple of times, but don't worry, I'll convince her to keep you, brother.
Now, are you Charlie? When you look at your thread, when you look at the post, are you seeing Stan Kua is watching repeated over and over and over and over?
I see Stephanie Iona is repeated over and over and over
Okay,
and over.
something is wrong with Facebook today, and I know it's not just us because I chatted with my friend on the mainland who does lives quite a bit, and he's having the same problem. So on mine right now, I'm showing Stan Kua just repeatedly, like he left and he came back, left and he came back. But and I know he's not because my nephew, who was on an earlier live with me, he was popping up repeatedly, but he said he never left. He stayed on. So something is wrong with Facebook right now, and I know the tagging, posting is kind of messed up. So I'm glad we're on. I'm glad we're live, and I'm glad you guys are here tonight on a Saturday
Thank
night.
you, thank you, thank you.
You
You
know,
know, we get the best crowd, Mel. Mel,
I mean,
we have the best viewers, and I know we're gonna share some news with them later on, but I want to do it now. I just want to do it now. That today going to be our Aloha show today. I cannot wait. I This week is down, right?
you are one of the meanest guys. Anyway, you're mean. Last night, Charlie, last night's show was special. Last night's show was special for many reasons, but after we went offline last night and I was downloading and uploading to YouTube and doing what I usually do, I started to think about Uncle Pinocchio Lani. Yes, Ed. Look, Charlie, Iona, you stop. Your wife said, you stop right now. Nice try. It's cute. You should have told me he was going to do that because I wasn't prepared for it. I could have played along, Charlie. But I was like, oh. So So yeah, so last night was special, and as I was doing all of these things afterwards, and I was thinking, man, we get one heck of an audience. We have
Oh yeah,
the most amazing viewers. I,
exactly.
you know, yeah, we don't know the millions and millions like the big radio talk show people, but for two local guys that just started this out for whatever,
Oh, I
the
get now I getting schooling. Joanne, I had bite. I sorry, sweetie. Never me. Uh,
but yeah, it was just last night's show with your son at the end, wrapping it up, and then giving so many people hope of solutions. Uh, Waimea Town celebration
yeah.
about hope, about being able to allow and open up and allow our people to go in there and watch some entertainment in a
Hmm.
safe environment, and of course, Passion Bakery with with the stories and talking about how he got started and how they're struggling, but they're gonna do it. And then going there today, I just reminisced this morning, like, wow, we do, Charlie. We have so much hope, and our guests and our viewers. That I know. Oftentimes, people, and I hear it and I see it, and I have mutual friends with people that are do not support what we do. That's fine. We said it all along that we're here, Charlie. You always said this. We're here to give you information. You guys do what you want with it. But the fact of the matter is that so many people watch the show and contribute. But
Hmm.
all we wanted to do was give people information that was reliable and factual and based on science and data, and to give people hope that if we do what we need to do, we'll get through this. So I just last night it hit me because your son's presentation, the technology, um, gave a lot of people, just based on comments and messages that I received afterwards, just gave so many people hope that what, there's a lot of people in the background working hard to get us through this pandemic that we'd never hear about. We don't hear about. So I was so thankful. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, Charlie. I just so thankful for our show, for you, for our viewers, for our guests, for our leaders, for everybody that is doing everything they possibly can to help everybody get through this pandemic. Um, you
Well,
know,
my
I watched people come in and buy one bag of malasadas this morning from Passion Bakery, and they just happy, happy. And
yeah.
that's all we want. That's all we want.
I first would like to say that my son, honestly, even I was surprised because as a parent, you let them do what they want to do, and if they're gonna do something and they want to take the lead, you let them go. You let them take the lead. That's the only way they're gonna learn, right? Through the good and the bad. But if something turns sour, dad's always there to help him. But other than that, when he goes and he does his talk, he always asks, Dad, what, Dad. Even like last night after the show, he said, Dad, what do you think? And I said, and I was very critical. I said, son, I'm proud of you. The only thing is, I don't want you to fidget. And then, he's always been that way. And, he was kind of like fidgeting around. But it's understandable because he's never been on the show before. We brought him on live. And so I said, baby, you did a fantastic job. I am so proud of you. Because why? You said it. It does give us hope. And he said, Dad, you said some things that I was wondering why. And I said, the reason being because the technology you were explaining last night is so advanced. I said, even because we've been doing this for so long, I kind of knew where it was going already without knowing about the product. What I liked about it was, here you have some, you think about it. And I talked to a good friend of ours because we always talk about the airplanes, right? If you're in an airplane, they said, oh, the airplane is one of the safest places. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Wherever you're sitting on an airplane, you go by the window seat, you look down on the floor, you're gonna see these slots on the bottom. That's the intake of the air. So in order for purified air, air has to be taken in and then brought back out. So it'll go in, come out through the HEPA filter, right? So just imagine to pull that air, all the junk along air gotta be passing right past your face for getting to that hole. So you won't get sick. So that's why I say with this technology that he talks about is it creates these fighting molecules to meet head on with the mold, mildew, airborne viruses, bacteria in its element. And I gave him one example. I said, son, when you explain, try to do this. If you took one room, one square room, and you put the device in one corner, like a regular air purifier, it'll take a while before air from the opposite side of that room can make it to the air purifier, right? To be purified and come out. What he was talking about last night with his device is it releases the molecules into the total environment. So when it's ready to fight those viruses, it'll meet them on its own term. Like if it's in that corner, it'll meet it in that corner. Doesn't have to wait till the thing come all the way back. And I said, that's the whole premise of that device. And you know what he failed to mention is his partners. I know he was kind of nervous, but that's why I love that boy. He said, yeah, Dad, I forgot because I remember you asked me that question. I wanted him to tell because his partners were NASA scientists. So they're just not schluffs. They says, okay, let's go create this thing and hopefully it works. When you got one of the largest medical clinics right off the bat willing to do a blind study and purchase 50 units to be placed in the operating room, what does that tell me? Operating room is supposed to be the most sterile area, right? Once you open somebody up, right? They're basically what they're doing is they're allowing this device to be in there to kill off any viruses while a person is being operated on. Imagine that, brother. Imagine that.
Yep, some good stuff, man. Good stuff. I saw him post last night too, responding to somebody about if you mentioned Mel and Charlie when you order your unit, you get quite a significant discount. So make sure you go to the website and contact John and let him know that you saw it on the show. I want to go back real quick and do a real quick poll because you talked about the airplane. It was the industry. It was the airline industry. Their experts that came out and said that the airplanes are one of the safest places you could ever be. I read it. It was a press release. I think I posted on it. Of course, it came from their experts or so-called experts. Actually, it came from, I'm sorry, it wasn't their experts. It came from Avi Manis, who is the marketing boss for Hawaiian Airlines.
Vice president.
No damn expert. But anyway, how many of you, and I really want you guys to engage, okay? And I'm just going to ask the question, and it's very simple. Just say yes or no. Yes or no. And then we'll watch the comments. We're not going to dwell on this, but I just want to get a real quick idea. If, in fact, what he said was true, which I don't, how many of you, after traveling back home from the mainland, whether it was California or Vegas, thanks, Mila. Yeah, I didn't want to mention your name, but you just said it. So he responded to Mila and said that anybody that mentioned that they saw it on the Mel and Charlie show gets a 50% discount. 50. Anyway, that's because John's a good guy. But anyway, so if you have ever got sick or after you came home from that 6-hour plane ride or whatever, you got the sniffles or you caught a head cold or you caught a chest cold or you got the flu, yes or no? How many of you find that when you come back from the mainland in an airplane, you get sick? That's all. Yes or no? And then we'll move on. I'll just be watching the comments, but I don't want to dwell on that because I know majority of us get sick. Majority of us get sick. So yeah, Charlie, the first response, yes. It's automatic. It's automatic. It's I used to go to Vegas once a year with a good friend of mine, Vietnam vet, a very good friend of mine, and he has diabetes. So I go as his caregiver. We love Vegas. He perfect, perfect health. He's strong and all of that. You look at everybody saying yes, by the way. I'm sure you guys can all see the comments. But what he would do before he got on the plane is he would get Vaseline and he would line the inside of his nose with
Yeah.
Vaseline. And what he told me was that his doctor told him, thank you, guy, awesome. Everybody said yes. I like to see the first no. What his doctor said is that Vaseline or any kind of ointment or lotion blocks the viruses that's floating in the airplane, not getting sucked down like Avi said, that's floating in the airplane. It puts that barrier between your
Nares.
your
It's
whatever,
called, it's
your
called nares.
receptors or whatever it's called. Yeah.
The hairs in your nose is the one that actually attaches. So when you put that Vaseline, so in fact, the doctor was on Oprah, and he said the same thing.
It's common freaking sense.
Yeah.
If you're in an airplane and everybody's coughing and sneezing, and before COVID, it was kind of irritating. Yeah, Vicks. I'm sorry, Miller. He actually used Vicks. Sorry. Thank you. Um, Before COVID, you go in a plane and you hear somebody cough. Hey, you don't really think much of it. But now somebody cough
Revolt. Yeah, revolt.
and you cannot get out of the plane in the air. So that kind of statements, Charlie, is irresponsible, is dangerous, and that is, I think, from day one till now, that's what frustrates me the most is when you get leaders that should be respected, and they come out and they make comments like that for their own agenda. See,
Yeah.
if Avi Manis wasn't an airline executive, I'm sure if he worked for a medical center or facility, or if he worked in another industry, I don't think he would believe what he just said. He probably doesn't believe it now. But when he says it in the way that he said it, people will say, "Wow, I didn't know that. I realized that technology. Wow." But if that was true, all of those yeses that we just saw would have been no. They made a couple of yeses, but no. When everybody gets sick when they come off the plane, so
You know what's funny, yeah? You can tell the professional traveler. You ever notice that? Because you're in a plane like this looking forward, right? This is the professional traveler. No. As soon as you hear the first cough, watch the look the professional traveler gives you. Turn like this. The traveler look like. That's the first look. That's how you know that person, whoever gives that stink look, they're unprofessional traveler because
yeah.
they've been down this road before. They've been down this road. Because those who don't travel, they're like, oh, put in coffee. Oh, somebody sneeze. God bless you. No, the professional traveler. Hey, cover your damn mouth.
So true. So
Yep.
true. So that's again part of what we do. Is we want to try to get out the factual information based on facts that have been stated and verified, validated by experts around the country and around the world. And that's I think what everyone should be doing. Researching, doing your own due diligence, and don't just listen to what even Mel and Charlie says. Don't just listen to what our guests say. Do your due diligence and do some research. And I think a lot of the information is already out there. It's just when special interests get
Look at Ed.
involved, then
Look what Ed said.
Huh?
Look what Ed said.
Uncle Charlie said before how on the plane he could. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
But that's true.
I remember when you said it.
Yeah, that's the guy. And you go to Avi, tell him, you know what, bro? The guy in front of me went fart. Your suction system never worked because it stayed with us the entire flight. Okay, you bull-eye.
That
Okay, we test your damn system and it didn't work.
my other partner was Dwayne Souza. I can't release his name because he wouldn't mind. But Dwayne, if you know Dwayne, retired cop, one of the most unorthodox guys you guys would ever meet. But amazing man. But that's what he would do, Charlie. He would fart in the plane, and he was a big man. His farts really stunk, and just watching the reactions of people. And he would fart. He would always lift one cheek and let him out slowly, and then he would do the and then I knew because it's coming, it's coming. And he did it all the time. And he did it several times in the flight. And
But you know what's funny, brother? Some of these guys that poop in the plane. I don't know if they think they want stage act in Vegas like they can do ventriloquist farts. Okay, they fart and make the sound come from another row, the other side. The things are right next to you. And sometimes they do them, and at least say excuse me. But they give you the look like, hey, no, look at me. I said, well, never come from my old call. It came from you. You know what I mean? Like, don't look at me like that.
one of the questions, are the state's daily cases down 70%? Listen, I'm going to,
Yeah.
I stopped doing the daily reports a while back, and then I started to do it again. I posted every day as soon as I got it because I thought that they had cleaned up their act. And then, we just found out last week that, there's a glitch and we're underreporting. So I stopped. I'm not posting that anymore. So while somebody may say that it's down 70%, you saw the chart I put up the other night about the testing. Our testing has dropped significantly. So obviously, if you're not testing as much, you're not going to get as many cases. So, I'm not even going to deal with that. I have accepted the fact that except for the county of Kauai, the numbers that are presented for myself now, I'm just saying for me, as an investigator, as a white collar guy, detective, I don't trust them. Just plain and simple, I do not trust them. When you come up with all of a sudden we found this many more deaths over the last month, our system, we had electronic glitch. We're not reporting. We're underreporting, but yet you use those numbers to make decisions. Honolulu Mayor Blangiardi is about ready to open Honolulu up. He has sent the rules up, the changes to the governor. I'll be very interested to see if the governor is going to allow establishments to go up to 75% capacity, to allow bars to open, to allow alcohol sales till midnight. And now remember, he's basing this on the numbers that they have admittedly told us that is underreported. And he's using those numbers to make decisions to open up Honolulu. I don't get it. I don't trust the numbers. So Marianne, I can't even answer that question. I don't even mess with their numbers because I don't trust them. I just do not trust the Kauai numbers. If you look at the Kauai numbers, we know everything. Now, the other night was having a discussion about the testing, Charlie. Remember Dr. Miskovich jumped on and he pointed to a website. So I went to the website, I analyzed the website. It only talked about visitor, travel related and not travel related. That's not what I want to see. What I want to see is what Kauai does. How many of those people tested negative, got their negative test, and then tested positive after they landed? That is the information. See, if you want to see if Safe Travels is truly working, that's the information you got to have. Not how many cases are travel related, and no, we want to know how many of those cases failed via Safe Travel program, and that's what they will never release. Only Kauai. So that was in other words, what I'm saying is that chart that the state has on that website that Scott Miskovich shared doesn't tell the story. It tells a story they want you to see, but it doesn't tell the story that is factual and based on data.
Well, I researched the report today that I kind of went over with a fine tooth comb. and it was released by the John Hopkins, people. They still continue doing research, which is kind of interesting. Sometimes numbers that we use doesn't tell the whole story. So they say that when you take a look at maybe like you'll get an infection rate of 1 in 1,000, right? 1 per 1,000. While it may seem small, the rate doesn't tell you how many times that one is infecting who and how it's spreading from that point. Okay, which is telling, and I'll tell you the reason why. The report says that in order to understand numbers that's being posted, the provider of these numbers has to say, so like when you got Honolulu has 45, okay? Is it 45 in a particular area that's enclosed or outdoors? Because that kind of information is useful, because if it's 45 that through investigation showed that they came in contact with somebody who was positive and it was in passing, like not in an enclosed space, but in an like on a walkway, right?
Mhm.
All those kind of information is very important for us to understand how the spread occurred. So because that information is not made available, because for some reason there is so much HIPAA, I have never seen so much HIPAA in my life that's not HIPAA related. You know, it's
Yep.
like saying, I never go to the bathroom. I never go to the bathroom. And yet you're walking out with toilet paper stuck in your shoe. You went to the bathroom because I see the damn toilet paper. So what I'm trying to say is when the state gives us information, sometimes after 1 year, today I just told myself, I don't want to be negative. I'm just going to look at what the report says. And, there's some factual base to it. And it says, if we continually look at numbers where there's positive cases, you have to ask yourself, are they false positive cases? That's the reason why I believe our mayor was on the right track, because to eliminate that false positive, right? Or you get false negative, the flip side to it. But to eliminate that false positive, and you take a second test, and if the second test is positive, then it's a positive. But if the first test is a negative, the post test is a positive, and you take one more test after that, and it remains positive, then it's a positive. It comes out negative, then you know you had a false positive. But nobody is telling us where the numbers coming from other than the numbers are populated and it's given for us to digest, right? So it's almost like telling you, hey, have some meat. And what is it called? Mystery meat. So you don't know where the hell the damn thing came from. Would you take a chance with it? I don't think so. But that's what we're left with. That's what we're stuck with right now. And it's
Yeah.
and if the state is saying we care about our people, if you really cared, you would put more effort into telling us the actual information, right? You would
Is
care.
that too much to ask, Charlie?
You-
Is that too much to ask of our government to provide us with the factual data and let us make the decision? The recently, Charlie, and as I sat in a restaurant today and I watched those workers work so hard, and I understand that COVID has caused so many economic problems for so many businesses, and yeah, I know it's so scary for so many people. Many businesses have already closed for good, but the reason the state provides this information that is not complete or thorough, and they pass it off as being accurate, you give people just the false sense of security, and you give them false hope, and that is why I know I talk about this a lot, but if this is just Kauai, for those of you that weren't on the last few nights, since October 15th, and October 15th really is the day safe travel started for the state. 51% of the travel related cases on Kauai, 51% had their negative tests before they arrived. So they took their PCR or whatever, their test on the mainland, 72 hours, and they got a negative result. They came to Kauai and they didn't have a quarantine. Remember, we were part of Safe Travels in October.
Hmm.
30% of them didn't have the results. And they got the results after they arrived on Kauai, and it was positive. In other words, they flew on that plane as a positive passenger. 51% had a negative test, but tested positive after they arrived, which means they got sick. 30% didn't have the negative result prior to getting here, but when they did get the result from the test that was taken on the mainland, which means they were infected that day that they got the test, 30%. So 81% of the people of the travel related cases on Kauai were because of safe travels. If because of safe travels they were allowed to float around, that is why Kauai's numbers went crazy. Now, why can't the state do that? Why can't the state tell us exactly what happened on Oahu and Maui? Because if they did that, if they did the same analysis on the other islands, they really would have no justification or grounds to keep safe travels working, to keep safe travels running, because the numbers would be staggering. So, and I hate to say it, but if we go back to safe travels, why would anything be any different? I understand that people are getting vaccinated, which means there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be protected from dying. But what we don't know is, are these people going to be passing the virus to non-vaccinated people, or passing them to vaccinated people who will be passing them to non-vaccinated people at a later time? And I can only hope and pray, and I really do genuinely hope that we don't see that same spikes that we saw after October 15 on Kauai. But that is why I'm so passionate, Charlie, because I rely on numbers. I rely on trends. I rely on facts and not politicians telling us it's going to be good. Um, we got to find a way. We got to find a way to get our small businesses up and running. And that's how we need to do it. You don't
You
do
know,
it with
it,
creating more cases for our island.
well, first of all, our business getting up and running, the way it's being done right now, it's adversarial. You know that, and I know that, because there's two ends of the spectrum. Okay, there's two ends of the spectrum. All I hear is we need to open up because we need to save our business. I get it, but nobody's addressing about how safe can we do it. That's all it is, right?
Mhm.
If everybody wants to watch a football game, like in the mainland post 9/11, right? If you want to go to an NFL game, what did you have to subject yourself to? Extensive screening before you go in the stadium, because they want everybody to be safe. Post 9/11, what did they do at airports? They did extra, extra security screening. Because why? They do not want any explosive devices or anything getting on the plane. That comes with the territory. This one now is they're asking to open, but scale back on the safety screening. And that's why I said, if we're gonna do that, okay, fine. But no come crying. And I felt for an individual who was on the news and he talked about it because he said that, we had the time, if Kauai only had 9 bridges, why didn't they build? You know, I understand. I understand what he said about this individual said, but I don't think he understands that many of the hospitals, they utilize traveling nursing personnel because why? We don't have specialty nurses, especially for ICUs, available here on island. Most of them have retired. Most of them are already working. So to make up those extras, we got to bring them in. And guess what? Other states are vying for it. It's like the NFL draft. Other states are asking for the same personnel because they don't have enough nursing or physician doctors in specialty classes, especially when it comes to COVID. Everybody think, oh, because you're an RN, right? You can go work on COVID unit. No, 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 no. It don't work that way. Doesn't work that way. And if you don't believe me, You go ask those people working 12, 16 hours a day why they got to work so long, because they don't have reliefs. That's why. That's why. Because they're in a specialty class all on its own.
Yeah. You know, we got to encourage our, and we do this on Fridays, but we got to encourage our local people to support local. We got to take care of our local businesses, and the county, the chamber, all of these organizations really got to focus rather than crying and complaining and blaming people. Put your heads together and figure out a campaign that will market the small businesses. You
Yep.
know, when the visitors came in, when they went to go take their voluntary second shot, remember when they offered the voluntary second shot to our visitors? It wasn't required. It wasn't a way to get out of quarantine. It was just, remember, in less than 1% of the visitors actually went to take it. We had 20% of the local returning residents took it, 1% of the visitors.
Mhm.
But what they did was they gave these, they had to pay for the test, of course. But the county came up with a program where they gave these people gift cards at restaurants that they could go use of equal value. So if you bought the test for $150, you got a $150 restaurant card from participating restaurants. Now, and again, I try to think outside the box and think, okay, so how do we get people to go to the restaurant? Well, you get people to go to the restaurant, local people, by saying, if you go to a local restaurant, I ain't talking Costco hot dog or anything like that. I'm talking, you go to our local restaurant and you take your family there, you get a gift card. Or better yet, you get an allotment. So if you're a local resident, you go in there and you support a local restaurant, the restaurant submits their invoice or their bill or whatever to the program, and the program refunds them the money of part or all of the dinner or the cost of the meal. So rather than giving them a card to go spend in any store, have them go to the small business. It doesn't have to be just food, you know. Why just, if we want to support local business, this is how you do it. The government's got to come in and do it with CARES money. So if I take my wife to dinner, maybe it's 50%. If I spend $35 or $40 for dinner for me and Patsy, $20 I pay, $20 gets paid by CARES money. That's going to encourage us to go out and spend money at the local places if we know we're only going to be paying for half or less. But those are the kinds of things, you know, rather than just sit back and whine and cry and blame the world, let's focus on that. We got all that CARES money, you know, and use it for the specific purpose of helping the small businesses survive. That is the kind of thinking we need, not compromise on health and safety. Because I'm telling you, I'm not a negative Nancy, but I'm a realist. Nothing will be different from when we do this in April or May, whenever it is, than what happened in October. So when we get back up to the 17, 20, 30 cases, we shut down again.
Let's
We
try.
shut down again.
Let's try this. Okay, we talk about thinking outside of the box. Now, I don't know how many of you out there might agree with me. Let's do another poll again. If you agree, say yes. If you disagree, say no. Okay. Right now, we have a 72-hour test. And the argument has always been that when you take 72-hour test prior to traveling to Kauai, right, without having any more tests, that 72-hour test at that time, that result is a snapshot in time that at that time the test was taken, it's telling you that you're negative at that time. So anything going forward, you can get infected, correct? So when you come into the state, why they didn't want to test upon arrival, because it would be too soon because of the incubation period, correct?
Yeah.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we turn back the hands instead of 72 hours? Why don't we say 96 or 100, whatever hours prior to, you got to test. So say you got to test, you're going to travel to Kauai, you have to test 5 days before you travel, no sooner. Okay, gotta be 5 days. It's incumbent upon the traveler to go isolate themselves before they get on the plane. You like go goof off and get sick. That's your pilikia, because we're gonna give you a chance for incubate, 5 days. If 5 days you negative, by the time you land, we test you right there. That means that we're falling within that incubation period, right? So now we are allowing it to happen. So you should be developing something if you are. So when you land, you test, you positive, you stop right there. You go in quarantine or you go back or whatever. But you do not get the privilege of walking amongst many who are not positive. What do you think about that now?
I think the key is the spacing between the first test and the second test. You know, the test,
I'm
like you
talking
said,
about 5 days because we're increasing it now.
right.
Because before was 72 and they never like take the test out. So we said, okay, test upon arrival, like how Big Island is doing, right?
Hmm.
That's why they get that false positive reading or whatever because it's so close in time. Well, instead of making it, because they're saying that if you land and you stretch it forward, is to go find the person to come back and take one test. And the only way we can do them is put them on quarantine until they can test out. Because they said they can do that. Okay, fine. Then why don't you take the back end when you take the pre-test, move them back out. So then you get one period of time that should it incubate, should it start to manifest itself, the day you land. Now I understand people gonna say, hey, they're gonna land over here, we're gonna get infected. But you know what? The thing is we're looking at to get the test on board, which is not being allowed to us right now. And if we do the test, we can't even do it where we think it would be beneficial because that is right now inconveniencing the traveler. And supposedly that's the reason why nobody wants to come. So I'm trying to say, okay, then let's open it up so we can slip that second test in. That will make sense. I understand it cannot be 3 days after they arrive because nobody buying that program now because we're forcing it on them. That's the reason why we're going through that 1286, right?
Yeah.
Do you know?
I mean, I think that's anything is better than 1286. I mean, to just do the 72-hour test to me, I think is crazy. But that's what they're doing, and we saw, like I said, we already saw the results of that in October. You know, to me, you got to have that second test after at least a 3-day period on the island. Now, I understand one of the things I think that I would want to see the mayor reconsider is the bubble resort. Now,
Mm.
why are we limiting the hotels to bubble resorts? I would rather all the hotels be able to qualify for a bubble resort as long as they can provide the monitoring services. You see, a bubble resort, you got to have a restaurant, but we have. If you think about it, if let's say you got to do a 3-day quarantine at a hotel, any hotel that can provide monitoring, and if they don't provide monitoring, then the hotel gets the sanction as well as the guests, but the hotel would get the citation, and the hotel, if they didn't do their job in properly monitoring, then they would get it. But my point is this: the visitor, if they can come here and not be forced to stay in a room, and they can utilize the pool, and this is conditional to our employees of the hotel being properly protected. But if they can float around the property, they can use the pool, they can sit outside in the sun, they cannot leave the property, and they gotta take a test 3 or 4 days later, then a lot of our smaller hotels would be able to open. The ones that don't have restaurants, but they wouldn't need to because we have enough. You open up that whole new, that economic development of meal delivery services, the pizza, the restaurants that'll be able to bring back people to cook and get the food to the restaurants and drop them off safely. Drop them off at the front desk. The hotel staff takes it to the front door outside of the door of the room. My point is we got to make sure we get these guys safe. My fear about taking a test too far out is how many of these people that are making the adventurous travel to Kauai are going to be safe in that time, that 5 days that they have before they leave. That is my fear, because I think a
No, but
lot of
that's I said that's where the responsibility put them on their shoulder. If I know that I'm gonna be traveling, I don't keep my see that's the problem. We talk about taking a 72-hour pre-test, but nobody knows up to the time they get in the plane. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. Nobody knows if they're going to Studio 54 and having a good old time with a super spreader event. Nobody knows. That's the problem.
And we know it's happening. We know that it happens. And that's how a lot of these guys are coming in with the negative test, because the latency period never even get through yet. Because they got exposed after they took the test or shortly before they took the test. So that's why I think, and it's not going to happen. This governor is not going to allow any mayor to force a visitor to quarantine. I just know it. 1286 is going to probably pass. But we'll see, again, and I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But history tells us that with the one test system, you're going to get some positive. You're going to get some cases. And I know people are saying, yeah, but they're not sick. They're not using the hospital. They're not dying.
Right.
Ask Charlie about that. Ask Charlie about how dangerous this damn virus is, Ask any loved one of someone that passed away. Today was my cousin's funeral. Delanoza. He didn't take time. It didn't take long for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't buy that crap about nobody dying. What are the death rates, Mel? Well, I ask you, what is a okay death rate? I mean, what is it? What is it? 3%, 5%, 10%? What is your tolerance level of death? Is 1 okay? 2? 3? Maybe if it's your loved one. So, I don't buy that. I mean,
well, that's why I say it's very difficult. It's very adversarial, right? It's very adversarial, and it's very easy for someone to ask a question that seems convoluted in some ways if it doesn't affect them directly, because and that's why studies have shown, if you ask a person who has lost a loved one, their responses is always going to be lined up this way because they've been affected. And it's totally opposite from those who haven't lost a loved one. But the caveat to all of that is there are those who are still compassionate that will weigh on the side of those who have lost a loved one. So it's the matter of trying to weed it out. Who is simple-minded enough to think, now let's, come to the table and says, okay, we have a dilemma here. Let's work it out. That's what negotiation is all about, right? But when you're talking about a pandemic, I would think that we would try to put the best minds on it. Or even if you talk to someone, at least talk with some sense of being reasonable. Because I can be reasonable with anybody. But if you tell me that, you were beamed down last night and that's why you know all the answers, then, forget it. Forget it, because now you're getting stupid. And that's why I fear, again, I go back to that point. I mean, I understand one of the individuals says, we can be looking at someone carrying a dead virus. But my understanding is in the host carrier, right? If you have the virus in you and it's dead, I don't know if we have any evidence that the thing wake them back up. I haven't seen anything yet. So that's why they tell you after 10 days, right? After 10 days, you quarantine. If you had COVID, you quarantine. They release you after quarantine because now you no longer be able to spread it. And so that's why I'm saying, if on the front end we do the pre-test, we move it out, then maybe we get a better chance that when they land, we can take a test upon landing. But taking a test 2-3 days after, then that's when it comes with attachment. That's when it comes with additions to it. And that is, if we're going to test 3 days after landing, what do we do in the 3-day period? Do we let them walk around? No, you're going to ask for quarantine. And that's the subject of concern. Nobody wants to quarantine.
Then stay home.
Yeah.
When you go to a football game at UH at the stadium, or if you go to concerts, or like for me, when I go to my WWE events, wherever I'm at, You go in, you cannot take a purse. At the stadium, you cannot take an umbrella. There's so many things that you cannot do. If you like to watch the game, leave your damn umbrella in a car. Take your hand, put them in your hand. You cannot take purses. You cannot take backpacks. It's just a conditional requirement if you want to go do what you want to do. Same with travel. And that's why I like the bubble. I just think more hotels need to go in the bubble. I think more of the little hotels that could actually get people back to work if they had a bubble, if they were able to go in a bubble. But Charlie, I want to talk about, because we talk about the death, and you know, it's so sad of how many people have died. I mean, look at how many people have died across this country
Hmm.
and in the world. But we cannot forget about the people that are still struggling with recovery. So for those that keep minimizing the impact of COVID,
Hmm.
you know, go watch one of our old shows with some of our recovered, not recovered, but recovering people, George Ma,
Hmm.
Russell Izumo. Go watch those, and they will tell you how real it is. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Charlie. You get we all felt the pain when Charlie's brother passed away. That was so sore. That was painful. That hurt. But if you want to go talk to people that are recovering that had COVID and find out the struggles that continue long after, yes, long haulers, long after they're released from the hospital. But some people just they write that off as as collateral damage.
What I would like to say to our viewers is, again, we're having discussion as because there's a lot of things that's happening. There's this lot of moving parts, and um, I always come from the standpoint, and I've said this before. Right now, I always come to the standpoint that I'm a lay person. Okay, I'm not a physician. Yes, uh, I have worked in the medical. I was a medical examiner investigator. I have seen my share of deaths from all different types, from natural to unnatural deaths. Okay. And yes, I have seen more than the average investigator would see in any other profession, unless you work in that. And this goes for the profession around the nation who works in the medical examiner or coroner's field. That's just it. I believe that there's an issue here that, as a layperson, and I guess it's the messaging of how it's being put across to the people, that, okay, when we first started, you all remember how important numbers were when we first started. That's what caused us to go into a lot of this decision-making process to shut down for a little while, right? When we first started, how important numbers were, right?
Hmm.
All of a sudden, the numbers are not important enough to be accurate enough to give us the real report. And yet, like Mel said, we are basing the information on those numbers. And I did make, and I should have just kept my mouth shut, but I did make this prediction that, hey, if you want to open up fast, just make up a number. And guess what? I I didn't tell him to do that, but I said, wouldn't that be the path of least resistance if what we're talking about? Just throw a number out there that's low and make it average off so it fits the agenda. Now, what's happening is, because there's no trust, no matter if it's the numbers are true or not, nobody gonna believe at this point. Because we've been down this road, we've kicked the can, and guess what? Some of us actually went stub our toes. That's why we're tired. We're here just moving on and trying to throw the information out there. There are some things that needs to be dug into. And what Mel and I will do is, because we're compassionate about our community, we will keep on digging, because we don't want anyone to fall at the wayside because information was wrong or because something was wrong. We want to get the right information. And what we tell you, we're not telling you do it this way. We're saying, here, this is what we found out. It looks pretty credible. Why don't you look for it at just look for it yourself? Here, we're going to give you all the ins on it, and if you're not convinced, fine. Then we wait for round two come around. Okay, but we're gonna keep on digging, and that's what we do. That's what we do right now.
I think you said it best, bro. I think you said it best where we don't want nobody to fall to the wayside because they didn't have information.
Yeah,
And you know, our information again comes from people that are working on the ground. And you know, our information can be challenged, and that's fine. You know, the bottom line is we trying to put out what we get from what we believe are valid, credible people. And I'm trying to really real quick, Charlie. I'm trying to find the testing if they had updated it since the last chart. I'm curious to see how many tests they did because you saw the big drop in the last few days.
yeah, yeah.
Just want to see here, testing.
But
Test.
anyway, while you're looking for it, so again, tonight's discussion, I find it rather interesting because we had a really, and again, we touched on what my son was able to talk about last night, that what the future lies at getting back to some sense of normalcy. That we're gonna need assistance by, if it's AI, artificial intelligence, to develop devices within our homes, within our restaurants, within our businesses, so the businesses can stay open at a safe pace or a safe rate. It's going to have to happen. Okay, and I tell you the reason why. There are still those, small percentage, but there are still those, because they're non-believers. They can make that puka in the dam. They're the ones that can burst the dam if we're not careful. And that's what I am worried about. So, if there's any dam busters out there, I'd rather you just stay off the dam and go sightseeing someplace else. You don't need to be on the dam. Okay, it's called tempting fate, and when we were not careful about it, someone will get hurt. And I hope and pray it doesn't happen. But hey, even monkeys fall out of trees, right? They don't anticipate to fall out of trees, but they do. So
Yeah. So I can just tell you right now because they only updated it to the 18th, but on the 18th, which was 2 days ago, statewide they tested 294 people. 294 people. On the 17th, they tested 4,300 people. So 294 on the 18th. What do you think the results is going to be? So
no, what drove them in that 1 day period to go from 4,000 to 200? Because, well, one thing you got to know for a fact, and that is testing is, you got to find the donors. So maybe no enough donors. You got the lab standing by that can test, right? So you
yep.
went from 4,000 to 284. That means that 3,000 something less donors. Well, if you look at Kaho'olawe, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna find any donors over there. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or if you go find Lanai, that has a population of what, 1,000? That's all you'll find is 1,000 donors.
Yeah.
So it's just like giving vaccine. It's just only as good as the arm you can put it in. If you got no arms to put it in, no numbers are coming.
I remember when I first started learning about computers way back, word processors, and then we went to the old computers, with the big floppy disk, the big one, the big square
Mhm.
floppy disk, and then the much smaller plastic one.
Yeah,
But I remember every single training I ever went to, the message was always the same, right? With computers, rubbish in,
rubbish
rubbish
out.
out. That's like an old cliche now. It's just the product, the completed or the final product out of a computer is only as good as the information you put in it.
Yes.
And that is why I fear when we talk about Honolulu opening up based on the numbers that have been told, we have been told that they got glitches. Um, Rubbish in, rubbish out. The problem with this, Charlie,
Mm.
is the margin of error that we should be striving for is zero. Because when you slip with this pandemic, people die. People
Mm.
die. It's not about losing efficiency in a business. It's not about the bottom line of your corporate financials. It's about somebody will die. Um, and it just, for me, I get the feeling, Charlie, and anyone out there, please, you're not going to hurt my feelings if I'm overreacting. If let me know. I know some people they think that, but is it worth the risk? Shouldn't we be limiting our risk as much as possible and not taking any chances? And I honestly believe that this state, right now, under the leadership that we have at the state building up there in Honolulu at the Capitol, and I'm talking up at the executive level as well as the legislative level with people like Psyche, that they have minimized the potential risks of this pandemic to a point that people gonna get hurt. And I just, it bothers me. It just bothers me. And
Well, let's look at it this way. It's very easy to key on numbers that are low, right? Because you can get into an argument and you can say, but proof is in the pudding, the numbers are low. And they're right, the numbers are low. But let's wind back the clock a little and say when the numbers were high, why did we have to go into a shutdown? Wouldn't it have been better to stay shut down early on and then slowly open? But we went through this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We didn't do it, they did it. So now we already experienced the back and forth movement. So right now everybody's saying, no, but it's over already, it's over. Okay, if it's over, then we got nothing to worry about, right? Then Kauai wants to do what he wants to do. But now Honolulu is thinking, no, even though it's over, but you got to play in the same sandbox. Well, all I'm saying is, I don't like playing the same sandbox. Your sandbox, you catch shit inside. I want to go to a clean sandbox now, right? And so the argument is very easy. As long as there's a zero there, you're going to notice like people like Psyche will look at that zero. They don't look at all the sacrifices that was made by those lives that individuals that lost their lives to get to this zero. Because the loss of life gave us information of how things went. They were actually the heroes. They were actually the ones that a lot of us, I'll be the first one to say, I'll be damn scared to be one of those numbers, knowing that I never go back home to my wife again. Screw that. But guess what? They took up the challenge, not of their own choosing. It just happened. But I view them as the heroes because they give us this information. But it seems like those in high places, they don't look at that.
well, I just pray that we all individually do what we need to do to protect ourselves. Again, we keep repeating ourselves, but we got to keep doing what we do. We got to keep wearing that mask and stop unnecessary traveling, stop congregating. Lieutenant Governor is so anxious into opening up, allowing people to gather, and weddings and birthday parties and funerals. And trust me, man, we've missed. I don't go to many funerals just because it's just my choice. But we've missed funerals from some very close friends and loved ones because of COVID. That's the sacrifice we make to keep myself, my family, and others safe. And everybody's gotta think like that, and then we'll get through it without anybody getting hurt or dying. And
I will say this. I will say this much. And you said it too many times. But for the viewers out there, I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. Okay? I'm not admitting that I'm right, and I'm not admitting that I'm wrong. I hope and pray that this path that the lieutenant governor is going, I hope and pray he is right. Because if he is right, then he is one hidden expert that nobody knew existed on this earth, if he is right. But if he is wrong, and the state has to go into another shutdown again, I hope and pray that he has the class enough to come before all of us and say, I was wrong. Because, hey, we want to work together. But when you take that position that you're almighty, mighty endowed, and then you want no other help, then you know what? I hope you get class enough to come before us and say, you know what? I was wrong. But that call cannot be made yet because the jury is still out on this whole thing. But all I'm saying is, if I am wrong, when this whole thing is over, I'll be the first one to do the last broadcast on the Mel and Charlie show, admit my fault, and then call it a day. But if he is wrong, I hope and pray he's man enough. I know he's man enough, but it relies on his profession, and that is when you have that bedside manner, you can tell the patient, hey, I was wrong. Okay, that you tell everybody you're wrong, and I just leave that out there for everyone to digest.
Well, we will see, and I hope him right. I hope he's right. The problem is he's making some calls. He's taking some risks. Uh, CDC is very clear. Do not travel. Do not travel unless you absolutely have to. And yet our state is encouraging travel. We're making it easier for people to travel, which is a direct conflict with the CDC recommendation. He's taking risks.
Well,
He's rolling the dice, hoping that he hits the right number. So while I agree, Charlie, if and I'll be right there with you. I cannot wait for the Aloha show because COVID is gone, and then the concert, of course. But I will never forget. I will never forget two things. Number one, the risks that he took with lives for what he believed was the right way to go for the economy. And the second thing that I will never forget, Charlie, I can forgive, but I will never forget, is when he went out and called us fearmongers, called us stupid. I will never forget that. You see, we trying to do what we can do. We are relying on experts, not politicians. But when I heard that come out of his mouth, I will never forget that. Never. And like I said, I'm a forgiving man, but I will never forget it because how dare he? How dare he try to discredit us for doing what we believe is right? I'll never forget that. I hope he's right though, and I'm with you, Charlie. And I'm
well,
not. I will. You know, I don't think what we're doing is wrong. I think what we're doing is
no, but
using.
just remember this, Mel. Just remember this. All he said, all we said, right? What we're saying, we never made it up ourselves. We took it straight from the reputable doctors that live and breathe what's happening now, day in and day, like Michael Osterholm, right? Like like Jerome Kim, like all of them. They are the ones that all we did is repeat what they said. We got access to it and we just repeated it. Okay, so it's not like we're adding a spin to this. Okay, but yet I do want to make it very, very clear, and that is for whatever reason, the differences is so far apart that we cannot come to any mending of the fence. Because I did a post the other day. When this is all over, guess what, gang? We're still here on these islands, and we're still one community. So we have to, put our differences aside. Okay, I know it's going to be hard. Some people have lost their lives. Some people have been made fun of. Some people have used pretty harsh words against others. But we got to try and mend those fences and move on when that happens, whenever that happens. But, Do I have a crystal ball that says when do we return to normalcy? I don't. I don't. All I can say is this: continue to practice safe practices. Okay. Because what really, really bothers me right now is though we have testing that is low, even with low counts, you're still having numbers in the teens. I would think if you have low counts, you shouldn't have nothing, but you're still having numbers in the teens. Like when we first started off, way, way, way in the beginning, you still have numbers in the teens. And that is very frightening. Okay. So has this virus been properly attacked? No. Is there community spread? Yeah. Why? Because when contact tracing didn't do its job right in the first place, it's long forgotten. It's already in the community. What do you do? So if every county did what Kauai did, and that is be transparent and just report everything that happens and let the chips fall where they fall, then I think all of us got better understanding, right? We can protect ourselves even more because we understand we had an influx of virus that came in. Be careful, everybody. But no, because of HIPAA, they want to protect you and me from them infecting us. Is that a possibility? And I'm not saying only for tourists, it's also for local residents returning as well. So when you got those kind of odds already stacked, what do? Just be safe. That's all I can say. Just be safe.
Yeah, that's it, guys. I mean, we've been preaching this for way too long. Um, we're way too long. So, we all have our own individual responsibilities to take care of ourselves, our families, take care of others. Um, that's on the health side, and then the economy side. Again, support local. Take care of our local brothers and sisters out there that are struggling.
Mhm.
And we'll get through this, but it's going to take some time. And
And I know too. I know a lot of you don't like liver, but you go to a local restaurant that they only serve liver. Just try. Just go eat something. Just support them, even if you're gonna throw the thing away after.
no,
But you go for it.
no,
Support.
I'll buy a gift certificate.
Yeah.
I'll buy a gift certificate from them.
No, 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 no. We do a live show. Now we eat in front. I mean, whew, to me, if I had a choice between serving 90 days in lockup and liver, I take the 90 days.
Me too.
Forget the liver.
Uh, all right, guys. It's 10 after 8, guys. We appreciate you guys. Again, tomorrow night, we take our night off. Monday, Dr. Kapono Chong Hansen will be back. He's going to give us his insights on what he thinks. Apparently, he was on KITV. He was interviewed by KITV. I didn't get a chance to see it. I don't know what his position is. We'll find out on Monday night. So please join us Monday night at 7 o'clock. Charlie, any closing thoughts real quick?
On behalf of the Waimea Town Celebration and its committee, all my love to you in bestowing upon Mel and I last night, for those of you that didn't get to see it, that we were given the Aloha Ambassador, the Ambassador of Aloha Award for community service. That's a distinguished award given once yearly. And we're in the company of people like Brian Yamasi, Patty Boy Malama, Stephanie Iona, Nathan Kalama, and the list goes on and on and on. And I personally am very thankful. Thank you very much to Tom Nizo and the committee for selecting us. And I hope and pray that we can continue that service to the community through this show by bringing on the facts as we see it and as we allow you to digest it and do whatever you need to do with it. So thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Charlie, and thanks to the Waimea Town celebration. That just very surprising and honored and flattered. Thank you, and to all of you guys that put up with us every night. We appreciate you guys again more than you know. We really think that we want this show to end. We want this show to not have to be on anymore. We striving for that time where we can actually say aloha and do other things like the food show or something else. But we have committed to this mission. We're going to stay on as long as Charlie and I have breath in our bodies, and we appreciate you guys making it possible. So with that, we'll see you guys on Monday night. Dr. Capono
Food
Tonga
show.
Hansen. I'm
Food
seeing
show.
all of this posting about liver.
Yes. Mm, mm, mm.
Ugh. Anyway, we love you guys. Take care. God bless. Stay safe. We'll see you guys on Monday night. Aloha.
Aloha.